In 6800 BC, an explosion sends a tsunami towards the city of Atlantis. Leaving behind her husband, the king, and their daughter Princess Kida, the queen of Atlantis merges with a floating crystal, creating a protective dome over the city's innermost district, which sinks beneath the waves. Thousands of years later, 8,714 years later to be exact, in 1914, in a time when explorers and adventurers sought the unknown, we are introduced to the young and determined Milo Thatch. Milo, an expert linguist and historian, spends his days working at the prestigious Smithsonian Institution. The institution, however, overlooks his passion for uncovering the mysteries of Atlantis. Despite possessing vast knowledge, Milo's theories and dreams of Atlantis are often met with skepticism and ridicule from both his peers and superiors. One fateful day, as Milo enters his home, he meets a mysterious woman named Helga Sinclair, who introduces him to eccentric millionaire Preston B. Whitmore, an old friend of Milo's late grandfather Thaddeus. Whitmore reveals that he made a bet with Milo's grandfather to fund an expedition to Atlantis, which Milo is to join. Seizing the opportunity of a lifetime, Milo agrees and embarks on a journey that will test his resolve and beliefs. Whitmore gives Milo the Shepherd's Journal, a book describing the history and path to Atlantis. The expedition is headed by the gruff Commander Rourke, a former military man, and includes his second-in-command Helga, demolitions expert Vinny, geologist Moliere, medical officer Dr. Sweet, head mechanic Audrey, radio operator Mrs. Packard, chef Cookie, and dozens of soldiers and sailors. The expedition sets sail aboard the Ulysses, a colossal submarine disguised as a fishing trawler. The team faces numerous challenges during their perilous journey, navigating through treacherous waters, and is eventually attacked by a mechanical leviathan guarding the entrance to Atlantis. It unfortunately destroyed the Ulysses and left only a handful of survivors. Following the journey, the remaining crew travel through a dormant volcano and camp there for the time being. During the camp, the main team eventually bonds with Milo after previously giving him a hard time because he was not an adventurer like they were. Later on, the ceiling begins to collapse and the crew has to move. They dodge the destruction but notice that Milo was missing. A slightly injured Milo, however, encountered a few strange people in masks who heal his wound and then flee. He runs to follow them and eventually arrives at Atlantis. His crew also immediately follows behind him because they were looking for him, and they all arrive at the entrance to Atlantis. Here they are met by the still young Princess Kida and some of her fellow Atlanteans. Kida and the other Atlanteans are able to speak with the crew because their language was the base for most of Earth's languages, so they were able to pick up on it quickly. Kida gladly welcomes them into the city of Atlantis. The crew cross a poorly built bridge into the city of Atlantis, and towards the end of that crossing Helga quietly, and suspiciously, mentions to Rourke that their plans never accounted for people still living in the city. Rourke, however, doesn't care, and says that they'll go forward with their plans. Kida then brings them before her father, the king. King Kashakim Nedek, the wise ruler of Atlantis, however, does not want them there and demands that they leave. He does, however, allow them to stay the night to rest. Against her father's wishes, Kida enlists Milo to help Atlantis regain its glory, as its culture and knowledge have been decaying for centuries. She believes that Milo and the crew can help them, seeing as they no longer can read their own language anymore as it was lost to time through several generations. Milo learns that a huge crystal, the heart of Atlantis, gives the people longevity, and once powered their devices via smaller crystals they all wear, but the misuse of its energy caused the city's decline. Kida herself is thousands of years old but looks like a young woman, and becomes intrigued by Milo's passion for their history and culture, and they form a unique bond. While they're together, Milo figures out how to make their unique hovercrafts fly by reading the inscriptions on them, and using the crystals that all Atlanteans have around their necks. It seems these crystals are like conduits that all Atlanteans have that channel a portion of the energy of the heart of Atlantis to the wearer. After traveling around Atlantis with Kida, Milo also discovers that Rourke and the rest of the crew have known all along of the heart, and used the expedition as part of Rourke's secret plan to steal and sell it, which would leave Atlantis to slowly decay. The only one not included in the plan was Milo. Rourke and his mercenaries ambush Kida's father, King Kashakim, and demand that he tell them the location of the heart. When the king refuses to reveal the heart's location, Rourke fatally punches him. Rourke eventually finds the heart himself, with its entrance being at the center of the throne room. Rourke and Helga force Milo and Kida to go with them underground and to retrieve the heart of Atlantis, which was floating in an underground tavern. The heart of Atlantis turns out to be a giant crystal, with the faces of Atlantis' past kings and queens etched in stone floating around it. Sensing the threat, the giant crystal calls to Kida and through her tells Milo not to be afraid and that everything will be okay. Milo doesn't share the message with Rourke though. Kida, now in a trance-like state, walks on the water and walks toward the crystal. The crystal levitates Kida up to it and merges with her. Kida then descended back to the ground, now glowing and protected from the environment around her, and walks towards Milo, Rourke, and Helga. Rourke imprisons her in a metal crate and freezes her in it. The entire crew then gathers their things and prepares to leave, with the Atlanteans powerless to stop them. It's at this moment that Milo convinces the main crew to turn on Rourke, playing on their guilt and conscience, as they were unwilling to be part of an innocent people's extinction. All of the main crew but Helga return to Milo's side. Rourke, Helga, and the remaining soldiers set out for the surface with Kida and destroy the bridge to trap the others behind. The dying King Kashyyykin gives Milo his own crystal, explaining that he had tried to weaponize the heart, which caused the prior explosion and the fate of his wife. He says the heart selects a royal host when the city is in danger, and begs Milo to save Atlantis and Kida, who will be lost to the heart forever if not separated from it in time. Milo and his friends rally the Atlanteans to reactivate their flying machines and pursue the mercenaries. A battle ensues, and Milo and the others manage to defeat Rourke's men, but Rourke and Helga attempt to escape with Kida by floating up in a hot air balloon. Milo goes after them and tries to save Kida. As things turn south for the mercenaries and the balloon starts to sink, Rourke betrays Helga and throws her off the balloon to her death. But as she lays on the ground dying, she shoots and damages the airship containing Kida's crate, and the platform where Rourke and Milo were still fighting. As the airship burns, Milo slashes Rourke with a crystal-charged shard of glass, turning Rourke into a crystal monster who is shattered and killed by the ship's propellers. The fall of the airship awakens the volcano as it crash lands. The volcano is now active and a lot of the lava from the volcano begins to consume the area around them and even begins to flow towards the city of Atlantis. Milo and the rest flee back to Atlantis with Kida as the lava rushes towards them, about to destroy the city. Kida, who is still merged with the heart, rises into the sky and awakens the ancient stone guardians. These enormous guardians rise from the flooded portions of Atlantis, creating a dome of energy to protect it from the lava flow. The lava hits the dome but can't penetrate it. Once the lava cools and the danger is neutralized, the heart of Atlantis returns Kida, alive, to Milo and the others. With this, the day is saved. The rest of the crew begin to leave Atlantis, gifted with treasures and a hover vehicle to take them to the surface. Milo elects to stay in Atlantis, embracing a new life of exploration and discovery alongside Kida, with whom he has fallen in love. The crew returns to the surface, each gifted with a small Atlantean crystal and a portion of treasure. They meet with Whitmore, who reviews photographs of the adventure taken by Mrs. Packard, but makes the others realize the importance of protecting its secrets from the outside world and pretend that they didn't find anything in order to preserve Atlantis' safety. Whitmore also receives his own Atlantean crystal enclosed in a heartwarming note from Milo. Meanwhile, back at Atlantis, Milo and Kida honor her late father by orbiting a carved stone effigy of him, along with those of other past kings, around the heart of Atlantis as it once again hovers above the newly restored city. The movie ends with a beautiful shot of the entire city, with Atlantean hovercrafts flying all around. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads.